tonight. We saw she was given a special security escort to Court 6 last night. There were thousands of Filipinos who tried to get a glimpse of the star on Court 6. Hundreds didn't manage to get in. There were, in fact, quite rowdy at times, told to be.
Alex Eala, the Filipino tennis sensation, has just received an invitation that speaks volumes about her rising global influence. She has been personally invited back to Australia, not by a tournament organizer, not by a sponsor, and not even by the WTA, but by the President of Australia himself for a special exhibition match in Melbourne. And make no mistake about it, this is far bigger than a simple tennis event. This is a statement. A massive statement about respect, popularity, cultural impact, and the undeniable power of the people. To truly understand how significant this moment is, we need to go back to when Alex Eala first arrived in Australia for the Australian Open. When she stepped onto Australian soil, something extraordinary happened. It wasn't just about forehands and backhands. It wasn't just about match results. It became something cultural, something emotional. Thousands upon thousands of Filipino fans flooded Melbourne to support their tennis hero. The energy was different. You could see Philippine flags waving proudly in the stands. You could hear chants echoing through the grounds. It felt less like a regular tennis match and more like a national celebration taking place thousands of miles away from home. Melbourne had seen big crowds before. It had hosted legends. But this was something unique. The Filipino community showed up in overwhelming numbers. Families traveled long distances. Students, workers, overseas Filipinos, they all came together for one purpose: to witness Alex Eala compete on one of the biggest stages in tennis. But here's where things became bittersweet. The demand to see her play was so intense that the stadium reached full capacity. Every available seat was taken. Security had to control entrances. And sadly, thousands of devoted Eala supporters were left outside. They waited. They hoped. They stood by the screens, just wanting a glimpse of their hero in action. The passion was undeniable, but not everyone could get in. That moment didn't go unnoticed. Australian officials saw it. Media outlets talked about it. Social platforms exploded with videos of packed stands filled with Filipino flags. The message was clear. Alex Eala was no longer just an emerging tennis prospect. She had become a phenomenon. Now fast forward to today. The President of Australia, fully aware of what unfolded during the Australian Open and recognizing the incredible cultural wave that Eala brought with her, made a remarkable decision. He extended a personal invitation for Alex Eala to return to Australia for a special exhibition match in Melbourne before her next tournament appearance. Let that sink in. This wasn't a routine scheduling move. This wasn't about ranking points. This wasn't about prize money. This was leadership recognizing a moment and choosing to honor it. It was about ensuring that the fans who couldn't get inside the stadium would finally have their chance. By organizing this exhibition match, the message is clear. Australia saw what happened. Australia felt the energy. And Australia wants to celebrate it properly. An exhibition match may not carry official ranking points, but in this case, it carries something far greater: acknowledgement, respect, and gratitude toward a community whose passion transformed a sporting event into something unforgettable. Alex Eala's return to Melbourne isn't just about tennis. It's about representation. It's about diaspora pride. It's about a young Filipino athlete whose presence united thousands and captured the attention of an entire nation. This is bigger than sport. It's a reminder that when the people show up in numbers, when passion fills a stadium and overflows onto the streets, the world listens.
Well, the record broken for the first Tuesday set at about 58,000 back in 2020. That has now been broken today, set at about 61,000. So as you can see, just another ripper start to the...
Once again, history repeated itself, and this time, it was even louder. As news spread that Alex Eala would return to Melbourne for a special exhibition match, thousands upon thousands of her supporters poured into the city. Filipino flags waved high above the crowds. Families gathered in groups. Chants of her name echoed through the streets. It felt less like a sporting event and more like a national celebration unfolding in the heart of Australia. Melbourne had seen passion before, But this was different. The march toward the stadium became a spectacle in itself. Fans walked together, phones raised, voices united, all hoping for a glimpse of their tennis idol. The energy was electric. The excitement was palpable. There was a sense that something bigger than tennis was happening. And yet, despite extensive planning and efforts to accommodate the massive turnout, the stadium reached full capacity once again. Every seat filled, every standing space taken. And just like before, thousands of devoted supporters had to remain outside, watching from screens, hoping simply to be part of the moment. The demand to see Alex Eala live has grown beyond ordinary tournament expectations. It has become something extraordinary. Given the sheer size of the crowds, Australian authorities implemented heightened security measures. For safety reasons, Eala was escorted to the stadium with government protection. Officials weren't taking any risks with such overwhelming public attention. The atmosphere was joyful, but the numbers were immense, and organization was essential. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. When Alex Eala stepped onto that Melbourne court, the reaction was explosive. The roar from the crowd was deafening. Flags waved wildly. The energy inside the arena felt almost like a championship final rather than an exhibition match.
And she didn't disappoint.
She played with confidence, with flair, with that fearless baseline aggression that has defined her rise through the ranks. But beyond the winners and the rallies, there was something else. That infectious smile. The kind of smile that connects with people. The kind that makes fans feel seen. She delivered exactly what everyone came to witness: brilliant tennis and genuine joy. However, not everyone is reportedly thrilled about the situation. According to circulating reports, Aryna Sabalenka, the current world #1 in the Women's Tennis Association rankings, is said to be less than pleased with the attention surrounding Eala's special treatment. From the outside, the optics are striking. Here is the president of Australia organizing a special exhibition in Melbourne specifically for Alex Eala, ensuring top-level security, presidential acknowledgement, and a spotlight typically reserved for champions. Meanwhile, Sabalenka, despite being the top-ranked player in the world, has not received this kind of ceremonial welcome in Australia. Now, it's important to be clear. Aryna Sabalenka is an extraordinary athlete. Her power game, relentless intensity, and Grand Slam pedigree have rightfully earned her the world #1 ranking. She has climbed to the top through discipline, resilience, and elite performance. That deserves full respect. But what's unfolding around Alex Eala is something fundamentally different. This isn't about rankings alone. It's about connection. It's about cultural impact. It's about representation. At just 40th in the WTA rankings, an impressive 9-spot improvement since her Australian Open appearance, Eala is still climbing. She isn't yet inside the top 10. She hasn't lifted a Grand Slam trophy. But what she possesses cannot be measured by ranking points alone. She has a nation behind her. The Filipino community, both in the Philippines and across the global diaspora, is massive, deeply passionate, and fiercely loyal. For many of them, Alex Eala is more than a rising tennis player. She is a symbol of possibility, a reminder that someone from their homeland can stand tall on the world stage and compete with the sports elite. And when that kind of emotional connection meets sporting talent, something powerful happens. The stadium fills, the streets overflow, and presidents pay attention. Because while rankings measure performance, they don't measure inspiration. And right now, Alex Eala represents something that goes beyond numbers. She represents hope, identity, and the unstoppable power of fans who refuse to stay silent.
I mean, it's you could argue that it was, maybe a poor schedule and maybe they could schedule him on a bigger court. Yes, but again, she's Alex Eala, that's been a talk, and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. She's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country, which is big.
And through all of this, the crowds, the headlines, the political attention, even the controversy, Alex Eala has responded the same way she always does, with grace. She hasn't complained. She hasn't boasted. She hasn't turned this moment into something about ego. Instead, she has consistently expressed gratitude. Gratitude for the fans. Gratitude for Australia. Gratitude for every Filipino who waves a flag and chants her name from the stands. She understands something important. This isn't just about her individual success. This is about representation. Every time she steps onto a court, she knows she's carrying more than a racket. She's carrying the hopes of millions of Filipinos around the world, in Manila, in Melbourne, in Los Angeles, in Dubai. For many in the global Filipino community, she represents possibility. She represents visibility. She represents pride. And she handles that responsibility with remarkable maturity for someone still building her professional resume. But what truly escalated this situation, what reportedly triggered the presidential intervention, was a public statement from one of the most influential voices in tennis history. Novak Djokovic, widely regarded as one of the greatest players of all time, did not stay silent. For during a press appearance surrounding the Australian Open, Djokovic publicly criticized the way Alex Eala was handled by officials. His argument was simple but powerful. According to Djokovic, the scheduling decisions made by the Women's Tennis Association were a major miscalculation. Despite Eala's massive fan draw, something clearly visible from the packed grounds and overflowing crowds, she was reportedly assigned to smaller courts during the early rounds. Courts that simply could not accommodate the thousands who came specifically to see her play. From a logistical standpoint, that might sound minor. From a cultural standpoint, it wasn't. Djokovic reportedly pointed out that when you have a player generating that level of public demand, placing her on a smaller court isn't just inconvenient, it's dismissive. It creates chaos. It frustrates fans. And it fails to recognize market reality. In his own words, he emphasized that Alex Eala is the greatest tennis player the Philippines has ever produced, and that she deserves respect commensurate with her impact on the sport. Coming from a 24-time Grand Slam champion, that carries weight. But he didn't stop there. Djokovic went further, suggesting that the scheduling mismanagement may have indirectly affected her performance. When thousands of supporters are left outside, when the atmosphere turns chaotic due to overcrowding, when logistics become overwhelming, that environment can disrupt preparation and focus. And in elite tennis, margins are razor thin. Eala's first-round exit at the Australian Open raised questions. Djokovic implied that external factors, including crowd control issues and improper court allocation, may have played a role in creating unnecessary pressure. Whether one agrees fully or not, the impact of his comments was undeniable. When a figure like Novak Djokovic speaks, the tennis world listens. His statements amplified what many Filipino fans were already saying online. They reframed the narrative from unexpected early exit to organizational oversight. And perhaps most importantly, they forced officials and public leaders to acknowledge that Alex Eala is no longer just another rising player. She is an attraction. She is a movement. And movements demand proper staging. That, many believe, is what ultimately led to Australia's highest levels of leadership stepping in, not just to correct a scheduling issue, but to send a message that fan passion matters. Through it all, Alex Eala has remained steady. No bitterness. No public criticism. Just gratitude, hard work, and a quiet determination to let her tennis do the talking. And maybe that's precisely why the crowds keep growing.
Got a lot of global stardom to her. She's had some incredible results and she's beaten players like Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek, so she's the real deal, already top 50 in the world.